Right, hello everybody. Welcome to the STEM Lockdown Digital School and welcome to your grade 6 English lesson. Today's first additional language lesson is on listening and speaking. I'm just trying to make my thing go. Okay, I am your grade 6 first additional language teacher, Teacher Fiona, and I'm very happy that you're joining us today. Thank you for coming. So, as I said, we're going to be doing a listening and speaking lesson, and I'm sure you're wondering what we're going to do in that listening and speaking lesson. So here we go. We're going to be working from week 5 and 6 of the CAPS curriculum for listening and speaking. Yesterday, we finished week 3 and 4 with a writing lesson. Today is week 5 and 6. So we're going to take part in a discussion about our new topic, which is plants and seeds. Last week, we did a different topic, birds. Now this week, we're going to do plants and seeds. So we're going to find out about personal recounts. You'll see this word's going to come up a lot today because that's what today is about, personal recounts. So you're going to listen to a personal recount. You're going to give your own personal recount. I'm sure you're wondering what a personal recount is, but you'll find out in a moment. You're going to listen to a story, which is a personal recount. And as you listen, you'll write keywords. Then you're going to review the keywords that you've written. After that, you'll arrange all the events in the story, the plot, in sequence, and you'll give your opinion. So, that's our lesson for today. Let's get started. We'll start with a discussion. Now, our chat box is off for a while, so you won't be able to write in the chat box, but what I'd like you to do is call out the answers, okay? You're going to call out the answers, pretending that I can hear you. So you'll be practicing your listening and speaking. So our lesson is about plants and seeds. And in this lesson, you're going to give a personal recount of something that happened to you in the past involving plants and seeds. It could have been something to do with flowers, something to do with a tree, something to do with growing seeds, something to do with plants. So you can be thinking about that at the same as we go along. Right. So, oh, why is my computer moving now? There we go. So, do you know what a personal recount is? Just call out your answer if you know what a personal recount is. I'm expecting that you might say no. Number 2, which are your favorite plants? Have you got any favorite plants? Have you ever planted any seeds so that you know what happens when you plant a seed? Have you ever tried that? Maybe at school planting a bean, or in a pot, or in the garden. What 4 things do plants need in order to grow? Do you know what they are? Sunlight, da 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 da. What do you think? What 4 things? Number 5, can you name 4 parts of a plant? When you look at a plant, what 4 parts can you see? And number 6, to get to our main activity of this week, can you think of something that happened to you in the past that involves plants or seeds or flowers or a tree, something like that? Right. I hope that you called out those answers and practiced your listening and speaking. Good. So, the big question, what is a personal recount? Well, a personal recount involves talking about an event that happened in the past. And that event happened to you in the past. So every day, I'm sure you give personal recounts to your family, to your friends, of something that happened at school or something that happened yesterday or something that happened last week. They're all personal recounts if they happen to you, right? I'm not going to take raised hands at the moment, but you will get a chance. So a recount answers these 4 questions: who, what, where, and when. That's right at the beginning. It answers those 4 questions, and then after that it mentions everything else in logical order and uses connectors. You know what connectors are? First, second, third, fourth, or first, after that, then, next, finally. Things like that. They're called connectors. Right, so let's give an example of a recount, a personal recount. This is Paliso's personal recount. So I asked Paliso if she would give us a personal recount. And this is what she said. She said, yes, sure, I am Paliso. I like talking to plants. I'll tell you something that happened to me last week as I was walking to school. I played a plant game on my way to school. First, I spoke to the orange tree. I said, please, orange tree, grow big and give us lots of ripe oranges. Second, I spoke to the grass. I said, grass, please grow nice and green and don't wither and die. Third, I spoke to the flowers. I said, please, flowers, keep blooming so that I can put you in my hair. Fourth, I spoke to a tree at school. I said, please, tree, put out big branches so we can read under your shade. Fifth, I spoke to the hedge around the school. I said, please, hedge, grow strong and protect our school from bad people. Sixth, and finally, when I got home, I ran to the orange tree again and I said, do you have a ripe orange for me yet? It was a fun game. So there is Paliso's personal recount. Did she follow the rules for giving a personal recount? What do you think? Did her event happen in the past? Yes. Did it happen to her in the past? Yes. Did it start off and answer the questions who, what, where, and when? Yes, because Paliso said, I am Paliso, that's who. I like talking to plants, that's what. I want to tell you what happened to me last week, that's when. As I was walking to school, and that's where. So she followed the rules perfectly. And did Paliso's recount mention everything else in logical order and use connectors? Yes. Okay, I can see the chatting going on there. That's awesome. I'm watching the chat box. So yes, she mentioned everything else in logical order and she used connectors first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Right. Okay, so for those who might be late, who have just arrived, we're learning about personal recounts And we've just listened to a personal recount from Palisa. Now, here's the question. Can you give a personal recount? So what I want to do now is I want you to think of a personal recount that followed those rules. It happened in the past, and it starts off answering the questions who, what, where, when, and it mentions everything else, and also it has connectors. So let's give you a little bit of time to plan that, and then I'm going to ask you to put up your hand. Right, are you finished? Are you ready? Who would like to tell us a personal recount? Who would like to tell us a personal recount? Can you put up your hands? Yay, Lawazi's raised his hand. Let's hear what Lawazi has to say.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, hello Lawazi.
Good morning, ma'am. So my personal recount is about a tree in my backyard. It was one of my
Yes.
most favorite trees ever. I used to climb on it with my best friend and my cousin. We used to play like that as if it was a tree house. Then
Right.
it was at my house, right? Then while I was sleeping, when I woke up, my dad came in to tell me that he was going to cut the tree down because we needed more space.
Ah.
A week later, another came and he took the tree down. It was a
Sure.
bit disappointing for me, but I managed it.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much, Lawazi. Thank you. Well done for being brave and being the first one. Is there anyone else that would like to? Sinegugu, I'll let Gerdy choose somebody.
Sinegugu, please speak up.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello. Let's hear.
Ma'am, in grade four, there was a little test that we had to do. We had to bring a bean and some cotton at school, and then we
Yes.
had to cover the bean with the cotton, and then put water in it.
Good.
And then it grew. Grew.
Yes. So you could say first we put the bean in. Did you put it in a saucer or in a jar?
Yes.
So first we put it in a saucer, then we covered it with cotton wool. After that, what did you do after that? Did you give it water?
Yes.
You gave it water. And next we did you put it in the sun or did you just put it somewhere warm?
We put it by the window where there's the sun.
Good. And then finally the bean, it sent out roots. Is that right?
Yes.
Wow, that's excellent. Thank you so much. That's excellent. Well done. Okay, so well done to those two for being brave enough to tell us their personal recounts that had something to do with plants. Awesome. Right. So let's go on now with our lesson. So now I'm going to ask you to listen to a story, which is a personal recount. And as usual, I would like you to do a flow chart. And this time you're going to write down keywords for each picture. Okay, so there's 7 keywords. So on your piece of paper, write keyword 1, keyword 2, up to keyword 7. Sometimes it won't just be one word, it'll be a 3 or 4 words, just to help you remember what that picture was about. That's a good way to practice your listening skill, is just to write down keywords. All right, so let's get started. So this story is called My Story, Told by a Seed. So it's a personal recount. And it comes from the Story Weaver website. One day, after eating the juicy part of an apple, a girl carelessly threw the rest of the apple.
Click on that checkbox there. Then I'm going to deduct 10%. This if statement could either be .checked like that, or you can take that out because your if statement will by default check if any Boolean value is true. So whether you're putting a Boolean variable in there or if you are testing your .check property, or maybe a visible property, any property that's Boolean, you don't have to put the equals there, but it's not wrong to have it, to add it. So what I'm doing here is, in order for me to use R cost here at the bottom, regardless of whether they were vegetarians or not, I am going to use R cost then overwrite it if they were vegetarians. Now, the non-vegetarian option didn't have anything to be changed, so I don't have an else in this if statement. The cost will be calculated there for the non-vegetarians, but the vegetarians, we will take the cost as calculated up there, and we will deduct from that 10% of this cost. And that I will store in my variable here that I'm going to display in the edit box, EDT cost. Remember to use float string F for all your questions with FF currency and then comma 10, comma 2, because I want to display 2 decimal values. Now, remember, we had to change the font color, and be careful. I hope you guys can see what I'm showing you now, just the object inspector. Just be careful because your edit box has a color, and then the font of the edit box also has a color. So this is again one of those places where you really need to read carefully to make sure that you answer it correctly. So we can change the background color of this edit box, but that was not what was asked. So if I had to do that, it was EDT cost dot color is assigned to, remember in my previous lessons, I said this line is like an assignment statement, and then the value on the right. But they asked us to change the font color. So it's EDT cost dot font dot color is assigned to, and then here we will, if you are unsure about the color, you can go and check the spelling there, CL blue. So that is what I will code here on the right. Remember, not in quotes, just CL blue like that. And that is how to edit font color, not just dot color. Okay, so a little hard also to see on your screenshots if they mean the color of the edit box or the font. So very important for you guys to read. So also actually a very easy question. I think my grade 10s can actually do this question at the moment. So let's have a look at the next one. This was the one where you had the people, the players, and they can be, there's tables that need to be organized. And 6 people can sit at one table. And you getting input of how many players there are, number 1, And then you had to calculate how many tables do you need. And you had to make sure that all players, so there was a little hidden question here. All players needed to be accommodated at tables. So we'll see if you guys got it right. Then also write code to calculate the total amount of power that will be required by computers. So we had to calculate the power and then assume that the average amount of power was so much. And then we also had to display all of this information in the edit boxes. Okay, so take note here, we're seeing integer values. Take note, it's an integer input. All of that would be important. So, and also they told us that there is a constant declared, but when you open it,
trees and animals and birds losing their habitats. Did you write down any keywords? So let's see what you wrote. I won't ask you to call out your keywords now, but let's check them against mine. So the first picture, there was the apple. I wrote apple seed. I wonder what you wrote. The second picture, I wrote crushed by a boy. What did you put? You can write into the chat box if you want what you wrote. For keyword number 3, when he goes into what he calls Mother Earth, I put pushed in the ground. What did you write? For keyword number 4, when he stayed there a long time and just grew and drank water, I put food in the soil. What did you write? For keyword number 5, when his coat burst, I put roots and a stem grew. What did you write? Right, I'm glad to see you all writing in the, some of you are writing. Good. Then when he burst out into the ground, above the ground and started to grow, I put, I explored the world. Michael, you must put off your video, please. Then for keyword number 7, I put fruit and flowers because, but you could have put other things because the tree was so happy because the birds came, the children came. And the last keyword, when the man came with the axe, I put he cut us down. Right. Now I must just keep my eye on the time here. Okay. Okay, so we got all the keywords. Good. I hope your keywords were similar to mine. And if you now had to give a talk, you would just look at your keywords and you would remember the different things that you heard. So, well done, everybody. Now, just to make sure that you listened carefully, I'd like you to arrange the following events in the right order. This is the plot of the recount. A recount is like a story, but it's got a plot. So let's read them together first. You read out loud with me. Number C, he didn't listen. He cut us all down. All the birds and animals left. Number H, I became a big tree. Everyone loved sitting under me and eating my fruit. Number F, a boy kicked the apple core all over the place. Number D, the coat around me broke and I started to grow a stem. Number G, I was pushed into Mother Earth. Number E, a man came with an axe. I begged him not to cut me down. Number A, the girl threw away her apple core with me in it. Number B, I was ready to explore the outside world. Right, so you can see that all of those have got letters. Now, I'll tell you what I do if I have to put something into order like this. I find the first one and I find the last one, and I write down those numbers, and then I fill in the ones in between. So I'm going to ask you to put those into alphabetical order in terms of the numbers, and then I'm going to ask somebody to tell me what they wrote. Okay. Okay, I see everybody's trying there to write theirs down. Okay, shall we have somebody calling out what they wrote? Who'd like to raise their hands? Okay, I'll let Hedy choose
Shaylin,
some.
ma'am. Shaylin is unmuted. Shaylin, speak up.
Shannon?
Shaylin Palmer.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
How are you, ma'am?
Do you want to call yours out?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, so it's gonna be the girl threw away her apple core with me in it.
Right. Go on.
Then it's gonna be a boy kicked the apple core all over the place.
Right. Number F. Then.
The coat around me broke and I started to grow a stem. No, it was
There's
G.
one. There's
I
one.
think it is. No, ma'am, it's G. Ma'am,
G.
it's A, G.
Right.
Then
A, F,
it's
G.
D,
D.
B,
Right.
E. No. E.
Okay, let's check and see if you're right. Thank you for that.
Teacher, please check your screen sharing.
Oh, can't you see anything now?
Ma'am, I can.
So Hedy, can you see my screen?
I see school lockdown. School 1 lockdown with a black screen.
How strange, because I'm seeing my screen.
Unshare and reshare for me, please.
How do you do that? How do you do?
Just stop the sharing and start sharing.
Like that? I'm not quite sure how to do that.
On the Zoom panel, ma'am, but the learners, it seems as if the learners can still see you, so just carry on, please.
Can all of you see? Can you see can you see something that says answers? Yay, okay. Then we'll go on. Okay, so check these against yours. A, the girl threw away an apple, and C was, I always do the first and the last first. C was the end one. In between, F, G, pushed into Mother Earth. D, the coat broke. B, I was ready to explore. H, I became a big tree. E, a man came. Did you all get that? Right, well done. Well done, everybody. So, now, this one, part of the caps, they say that they want you to give your opinion. So sometimes people say something and you have an opinion about it. So in this one, I would like you to, let me just watch my clock. I'm going to write a question and then you raise your hand and give your opinion to the question. Okay. So the first thing is, do you think the man was cruel to cut the tree down? Who would like to give an opinion? Can you still see the raised hands, Khadi?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if you could choose one.
Tafara.
Hello.
Michael.
Michael?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I think he was cruel, ma'am, because he was only thinking about himself when he was cutting the trees.
That's a very good opinion. Well done, Michael. Excellent. I like the way you added your reason. You gave an opinion with a reason. Does anybody have the opposite opinion, that they didn't think the man was cruel? Only put up your hand if you've got the opposite opinion. Right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
I think the man was cool because he cut down the trees to make his home and not thinking for the other birds and bees.
Okay. Right. Thank you. Well done. Let's go on to the second question. Why do you think the man cut down the trees? So the person who just shared gave a reason, but is there another reason? Why do you think the man, what's your opinion? Who shall we choose?
Ma'am, Adele.
Okay, Adele. Why do you think the man cut down the trees?
JD.
Ma'am, he cut down the trees so he has space for other people's shelter.
Good, that's right. That's a good opinion. He cut down the trees because he was trying to make space for other people to live there. Right. Good. Let's go on to a third one. Do you think that the animals and birds left to find a new habitat because they needed trees? Do you think that they needed trees? What's your opinion?
Zamile.
Yes. Yes, they needed trees.
Yes.
Mm,
Why?
because so that they could make their shelter at the trees.
Good. Good. Okay. Very good. And last one. Do you think that the seed told its personal recount, told it well?
Talia.
Right?
Talia.
Yes.
Do you think he told it well?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
Because he shares when, what, where, and what thing.
Okay, good. And then he put them into into order of sequence. A very
Yes.
good opinion. Well done. So well done, everybody, for sharing your opinion. Good. Let's go on. So let's just see what the time is. I see that Talia, she put up her hand. What did Talia want to say? Or somebody put up the,
She
yes?
just answered.
Listening?
Ma'am, she just
Yes?
answered your question.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, well, let's go on. So we're coming now to the end of the lesson. And so let's just go over what you learned today. Hopefully you all know now what a personal recount is, right? So today you worked on week 5 and 6 of the CAPS curriculum.
Sorry, ma'am, can you just recap on personal recount, please, what it is?
Okay, I'm going to do that now. So you took part in a discussion first about plants and seeds, right? And then you found out about personal recount. So personal recount, if you remember, is when you talk about something that happened to you in the past, and you talk about it in such a way that you, in your first sentence, you put people in the picture of where you were, when it happened, and you answer the questions who, what, where, when. And then after that, you tell all the events that happened, saying first, second, third, or first, after that, finally. You use connectors. Okay, got it. So a personal recount is telling about something that happened to you. And if you tell it in the correct way, you'll do it like that. The first sentence will answer who, what, where, when, and the rest follows in order using a connector. So you listened to a personal recount. You heard about Paliso and her plant game, remember? And she used first, second, third. Then you gave your own personal recount and 2 people shared, which I was very pleased about. After that, you listened to a story told by a seed, which was a personal recount, and you wrote keywords to help you remember. We reviewed the keywords. Then you arranged the events in order, in sequence, and you gave opinions. So you actually worked really well. So Katleho has got his hand up. What would you like to say? Katleho? Does somebody want to say something? Okay.
Katleho is unmuted.
Katleho.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what did you want to say?
No.
All right. Yes, I'm listening.
Treasure is unmuted, ma'am.
Okay, let's hear what.
Can
Yes.
you hear me?
Yes.
Well, for the last question, I wanted to say yes, it was a personal reaccount.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So now this week, practice giving personal recounts using the method we used today. And the very first recount with Paliso also comes from the African storybook, where it's called Palai Talks to Plants. And the story about the seed comes from Storyweaver website. Those are both very nice websites for reading. So tomorrow, I'd like to invite you to tomorrow's lesson. It's a reading lesson where you can practice your reading. And we're going to read an interesting story that involves plants and seeds. So I'm looking
for everyone.
Sorry?
No problem, ma'am. Please continue.
So I hope to see you there, everybody, tomorrow at 11 o'clock. We'll have our reading lesson. Thank you very much for coming and joining us today. It was lovely having you and hearing you share. Bye.
Floor we need math, but you know, I actually love using floor because it just reminds me of the word floor that I'm rounding down. But trunk and floor, either or, they both will give you the same output. And then we have some other calculations with numbers. I think you guys are fine with square and square root we've done in the previous program. Random range and then random that Skulk have shown us before. But then I don't know if you guys remember about just random. So random actually generates random decimal values, as in this example here. So 0 point, and then I don't actually know how many decimal values it will allocate, but it's random decimal values. And if you only need 2 decimal values, then you use your round 2 over your random to round it off. And then we have pi, the function that does not have so these two actually don't have arguments and no brackets. Then ABS, that makes any negative value a positive value. And then min and max, that finds the highest and the lowest values. But before you use min and max in an exam, I want you guys to just have a look at, we are actually busy writing you guys a study guide from the department. So hopefully with that will come our list of functions that we are allowed to use, because not everyone is in agreement about what is first principle coding. And some argues that min and max is not first principle. So it's very easily replaceable with an if statement. So I'd rather for this year stick to using an if statement instead of using min and max. And then the odd function that returns with an integer value. Very important, this value has to be integer. It returns a true or a false, whether that integer number is an odd number. And then we have the power function, which sits in the math unit. Again, we're going to have to double check when we have that list of what is allowed and what is not allowed. But very important for your power function is it returns a real result. And I only have 3 minutes left, so I'm going to explain this as fast as possible. The reason for that is if I send it 2 integers, 2 to the power of 3, I'll get 8. But my issue is if I send it 2 integers, 2 to the power of -3, I'm going to get a fraction as an answer, a value with a decimal number. And for that reason, power's answer is always real, because Delphi can't predict, even by looking at the input of these 2 arguments. Both being integers does not mean the output is going to be an integer. And just to recap, I'm going back to my slide. Remember that when we have a look at the square root, that square root also always provides us with a real output. That's very important to remember. So this was the final of 2018 question 1. Please send me some questions in the chat. If you have any other thing, if you guys feel like you want to go over arrays or text files again, or if you are happy with continuing with past papers, that is my plan for the moment. You guys let me know, and I'll see how I can accommodate everyone's needs. So there's the website, education.gov.za, 0 rated, so you can download those past papers for free. Data files are there as well. All the papers up to 2008 are great to practice with. They are on the same standard. It's just where they have in question 2 of the older papers, they have an array of objects that's not part of our syllabus. We only do single objects when it comes to our OOP question. And there's another website, Dandelion Delphi, for you guys to follow and to have a look at. So this is it from me, but please, for tomorrow, we're going to look at question 2 of this exemplar 2018. So go and download it and practice it before you watch this. Mason, I don't know if we're definitely going back to the school on the 1st. The plan is to go back on the 1st, but there's lots that needs to happen at the moment at the schools. I know, for example, the school I'm at, I believe has to be now deep cleaned and the process has started. Teachers aren't yet allowed back. We don't know yet. From your side, you just have to do your bit. Don't be lazy. Don't play online games. Code all the time. So make sure that you stay coding fit. This is the worst thing of a holiday is you guys come back and then I know for my own learners, no one can even remember how to do a for loop. And that is what happens during a holiday is it's really like practicing for some sport, is to stay coding fit just a little bit every week. So I'm giving you guys one question a day to do. It's less than an hour. You are supposed to do 4 hours of IT per week. That would be a normal school week. So guys, please do your bit, and that's for all your subjects. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, but please note the time has changed. We are changing tomorrow to 2 o'clock. So we're moving to 2 o'clock. Link stays the same though, but the meeting is at 2. Please let everyone know. I will also put it for your teachers on Facebook. But you can find more information on the Africa Teen Gigs website. And please follow them on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thank you very much for watching STEM Lockdown Digital School. And I'll see you tomorrow at 2. Same link, but just the time has changed. Please tell all your friends. Thank you, guys. Bye.